Those things smell terrible, don't they? I'm sorry, I hadn't planned to use them, but you were sleeping for so long. And I'm usually a very patient man, but I'm short of time today. I have some things I need to pick up for my wife and my daughters and my nieces, too, on Fifth Avenue. And I also like to visit my favorite tailor when I'm in town. I did have a tailor that lived in Buenos Aires, but he died. Must be like 5 years ago. He made fantastic three-piece suits. There was something about his cut that was unparalleled. And how he did it, I don't know, because the man could hardly see. He was blind as a bat. His glasses were as thick as my thumb, and yet somehow he saw that cut. I heard that his wife buried him in a cheap Armani knockoff. Maybe he'll haunt her, because I can tell you, he'll never rest wearing that for eternity. It's okay. You can look at it if you like. It's kind of knotted, no? My daughter once told me that it looked like a tree branch. Children. When I was a boy, my father gave me a puppy, a Rottweiler. I got him, he must have been 2 weeks old. Yeah, I was 5 years old. I never had a dog then. Now, I always keep a kennel. But my father brought home the dog, and I named him Sancho. My Sancho. A teacher that I had in school back at the time had told us about Don Quixote. So there I was, Don Quixote, and this slobbering, beautiful, big black dog was my Sancho. Well, he wasn't big at first, but soon he was bigger than me. But I would wear my costume and brandish my wooden sword and shield, and I would dress my Sancho up. I tell you, that dog tolerated me to no end. Sometimes I pretend he was my horse. I was his master. So he let me do all these ridiculous things. Dogs are the funniest animals. I mean, you can see them smile sometimes if you watch. Have you ever had a dog?
No.
Well, if you had one, you'd know what I mean. I took that dog with me everywhere. He would sleep in the bed with me. He laid all over everything, and that would drive my mother crazy. Ay, Dios mío. He would slobber all over everything all the time. But my father had given him to me, so that was that. He said, Javier, I'm giving you this dog. He's yours. I'm not going to wash him or feed him or anything. He's your dog, he's your responsibility. And I did it. Oh, I did it. And I did it for many years. Washing, feeding, everything. 7 years. 7 years of feeding, washing, playing, feeding. Then, one of the worst days of my life, he disappeared. He was gone. I woke up one morning and he just wasn't there. And I looked everywhere for him. Sancho! 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 No one had any idea where he was. And my mother had to console me for days. My Sancho was gone. I cried and cried like a baby, and I could tell that this made my father very disappointed, but I didn't care. I cried like a little girl for a week. And a week later, well, they say time heals all wounds, no? Besides, it was the week of my birthday. On that day, it was quite the party. There must have been 200 people there. All the children from the school, see, the priests from the church, all of my father's business partners. Music, dancing. What a wonderful day. Beautiful. And all the pretty girls that had come to the party. I went to sleep that night, not thinking at all about my lost Sancho. Yeah, I was deeply buried in dreams. When I felt the strong grip of my father's hand shaking me, waking me up. He pulled me out of bed, and he looked at me with an intensity. It wasn't anger. It was a kind of excitement. Get out of bed, he told me, and of course, I always did what he said. Must have been 2 or 3 in the morning. And he took me out of the house still wearing my pajamas. I could see my breath. I asked him where we were going, but he just drank from his tequila bottle and he told me to be quiet. He put his hand on my shoulder and he pushed me toward the old barn. I was a few hundred yards away from the house, and I could see the lights were on, and I could hear some men laughing, drunken sounding laughter. I had seen my father take a drink now or then, but I had never seen him drunk, which he certainly was. But he led me in, and I could see several men were there, some of his associates, men who worked for him. Some of them I remember because whenever they came around, they always frightened me. I remember the smell of liquor, cigar smoke, manure. They all made way for me as I walked the gauntlet, each of them patting me on the back with their heavy, calloused hands, calling me jefe and hombronazo, some with growing smiles on their faces, others more grim, serious expressions. As I made my way through this corridor of men, I noticed a wide set of stairs that led up to a large pen where the ranch hands would sometimes walk the horses in circles to stretch their legs. It was also where the mares gave birth to the foals. Well, my father took me down to it, and he closed the gate behind me. The other side of the pen was completely dark, but I could see some sort of shape in the darkness. One of my father's associates, a fat man with a thick mustache named Guillermo. He stood next to my father, grinning down at me. And I remember thinking that mustache could prick my finger. And he tossed a machete down next to me. When I think back to my thought then, I thought it was a bit much to open a piñata with a machete, huh? The mind of a child. At that moment, I heard a strange yet familiar sound. A low groan come out of the corner, and the shape that I couldn't make out at first began to move toward me. It was Sancho. I say it was him. Physically, I suppose it was the same dog, but my immediate sense of joy quickly turned to horror as he came into the light. Even against his dark brown and black fur, I could see the dried blood, the lacerations on his hide, rope burns, open festering welts on his head and back, cigar burns. I even heard the low growl deep in his throat. But my feelings for him made any sense of caution give way to concern. So I reached toward him, hand extended, reaching out to comfort him. It did not occur to me that my father had taken Sancho and given him to his associates, and that during those past weeks, the animal had endured such brutality that they had driven away from him any love for me or any sense of anything other than violence and pain. He looked at me as though he had never seen me before. There was nothing left of the dog I had spent so many years with. 2 weeks had reverted him back to his primal nature. So I rushed to comfort him, and his jaws clamped down on my hand like a vice, crushing it like paper, tearing the flesh beneath his teeth. The new nature of our relationship was quickly known to me, as he thrashed me about like a rag doll all over that straw, dirt, and shit-smelling pen. When he released my hand, his teeth tore into my foot, my leg, shredding both. Then he was on top of me, foaming saliva dripping onto my face and mouth as he tried to get past my arms to my neck. Somehow, I kicked him onto his back for a moment, and I grabbed the machete off the floor. I hacked my Sancho's flesh and bones to pieces like a wild beast on that dirt, straw, and sheet-covered floor until he stopped moving. And then there I stood, covered in blood, dirt, and sweat, chest heaving, too shocked for tears. And my father came to me and hugged me, saying, "Muy bien, mijo. Very good." And the fat man, Guillermo, he led the rest of the men in saying my name. was the first time I killed anything other than an insect. Mucho, Carlos! Oh, reunited at last. She was beautiful, wasn't she? But as beautiful as she was and good in bed, I knew the bitch was gonna be a problem eventually. You can take the girl out of the whorehouse, but never the whore out of the girl. As a mistress, though, she was very pleasing. I knew her in the most intimate ways, in all the ways that a man could know a woman. But last night, when she was sitting in front of me, similar to how you are now, that's when we really got to know each other. And she didn't know where you put it. Well, believe me, she would have told me. It didn't take much, though, for her to tell me that you were involved. And now, my friend, you and I are going to get to know each other very well, too. We are going to spend some very, very intimate times together. And afterward, this is not going to end well for you. Where's the money?